much. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Today we have Billy Mason as the acting executive director.
Isham.
Isham, sorry. I can't get used to that. Billy Isham, and we have approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
I have 3 additions to the general session. First addition is under Shane Drift, a discussion on the rights and protection for wild rice.
Actually, that was, I was going to present that at the, for discussion at the next tribal council meeting, not this one, but the next one.
okay.
The next one? Okay.
Okay.
The next addition is Kim Greiner to open a bank account for expense coverage reserve for the tax credit 3.
Where do you want to put her?
Generals,
Before you or after Andy?
before me.
Okay.
And then the other addition is under Billy Isham for the transfer of the facilities maintenance and transportation programs.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda with those additions.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Approval of minutes from the March 6, 2019 meeting minutes held at Lake Vermilion. Move to approve made by Chief. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Introduction of new staff.
Billy. Billy, introduce
Oh,
Dave.
I'm going to introduce Dan. Yeah, well, no, you can. I was going to.
I guess I'm introducing him.
Okay.
We have Dan Milbridge, who is the new Health and Human Services Director.
Welcome, Dan.
Welcome aboard, Dan. Thank you.
Welcome, Dan. Next, we have the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have approved the sole source request from Randy Long for the purchase of archery equipment in the amount of $7,132 from the NASP for the Boys and Girls Club at Nett Lake and Vermilion. Also approved excusing staff with supervisor approval to attend the Spring Into Health Conference from 9 to 2 on March 19th at Fortune Bay. We also approved the change order amount approved by the BIA for $31,230 and to approve the change order to MB Customs Development Contract in the amount of $31,230 for the ice damming issue at the law enforcement building at Palmquist. We also approved the 2019 netting code, approved the request from Pam Hughes to sole source the agreement with Eden's Group to provide Rule 25 training April 15th through 18th. We also approved the request from Louise Isham to purchase a 2019 State of the Band T-shirts in the amount of $6,118.75. We also approved the request from Louise Isham, to purchase a 2019 State of the Band T-shirts in the amount of $7,200. Approved, adopted Resolution 58-2019, the Wilderness to purchase lease lawn equipment from MTI Distributing. Approved policy for Bois Forte Fitness Center key card access benefit. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I just have some questions here.
Sure.
Regarding the BIA, I do believe the police department, the BIA was paying for that?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and so that's not coming out of our budget then?
No.
Okay. And then for the lawn equipment, I'll just like to point out that I voted against it.
Yep. Okay. Oh, thank you, Shane. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
First on the agenda is Adrian Whiteman, Powwow Committee membership policies and midwinter powwow recap. And Louise Isham is attending with her.
My book's falling apart. Good morning, Adrian and Louise.
Good morning.
Okay, midwinter powwow 2019 recap. It was successful given the time frame we had to prepare for it. I received a lot of good feedback. Haven't heard, anything else from there were issues that did arise that weekend, but I had enough experience in how to deal with that in favor of our tribal council. I believe the way you handle situations in an organization says a lot about how you view the people you're working for. The integrity involved, always try to put the best representation out there for us, as a tribal government. Putting the best representation out there tells the people that, they matter, and our visitors and our community members attending these powwows, they do matter. And I'd like to send them home with that feel-good feeling, and want to come back. From those issues that arose, we were able to meet with the council days after the midwinter powwow, and had discussions on ways to get a solution. And I believe this solution would also help, like Health and Human Services. We had that all-staff compliance training. And one of the issues were how to approach elders asking, to give their IDs, for the billing purposes, how important it is for the billing to have, their personal information. I talked with Ron Bois. He does cultural awareness training for the Duluth Police Department. And I think that we could benefit by him coming up here and giving us, that training tailored to our employees here in this building, and then Health and Human Services, just to get them to understand, there's different ways that we have to be aware of in getting, things that we need to be in compliance. Let's see. Before we start planning the Sagibuga powwow, I'd just like to let you know that I would like to make it a point to talk about ways to improve, what worked, what didn't, for when I schedule the first planning meeting, and also to be able to send you each an email on how that went and what ours, and then if you have any feed, anything to offer, to help us better, I'd appreciate that. Our first planning meeting, I scheduled it for April 10th. I haven't sent out the emails yet, but I will this afternoon.
Okay.
We're always open to new ideas, suggestions. Just last Saturday, I went to Powwow in the Cities at the Augsburg College, and I found out a better way to do payouts, which
good.
is they have to be in compliance with MLAC's, the way they do their accounting procedures.
Okay.
And I believe that if we implement that here, it would be also in
good.
compliance with the accounting department.
Good.
So, but that's it.
Thank you, Adrian. I know that after, well, first, the midwinter powwow was kind of last minute because of the government shutdown, and I want to commend you and all the other people that participated and put it together on such short notice. And after that, we did meet with the people involved with the powwow, and I think it was a really good meeting. What we run into is that it kind of usually falls on like 2 individuals, each powwow, it seems like, and it's a lot of work. And so through our meeting like that, we came up with like a core group of people that will work together as a team in both Nett Lake and Vermilion. And then anybody else that wants to participate can. But I think there was 6 to 7 core people that were mentioned that will be the main committee to help begin the process for setting up our powwows. And I think that's a really good process, and I think it's going to work. I like the idea that you got looking at what other tribes or what other powwows are doing with regards to areas where we can improve. And so that's really good because, this is a cultural thing, and it's something that we need to do for our tribal members and also our visitors that come. So I want to commend you all that worked with the midwinter powwow. And I know Ron has done cultural awareness training for the police department in Duluth, and he will be one we'll be looking at to provide cultural awareness training here at Bois Forte, because he is a Bois Forte band member, so it just makes sense to do that. So I'm really excited to see how it works now in the upcoming months, and with our Vermilion powwow and Sagi Baga. It's exciting. I am really looking forward to it. Miigwech. Go ahead. Do you have something to say?
Well, I should say, again, thank you for stepping up and taking on the responsibility of overseeing the powwow. You ladies and guys, you guys did an awesome job. I must have owned up to a mistake on my end for a email that I didn't respond to. I thought I did, but I didn't, and that was my mistake, and I apologize for that. Moving forward, like you said, you're learning what other reservations are doing, and then that's good. Bring that here and make our powwows a little more better. Pretty much it.
Good. Any other comments?
Maybe for the general public, if you want to let them know who those core committee members are.
We'll have it put on the website. Yep. So if people want to contact them, they can. And Louise, can you get that on the website for us? Okay, we will do that.
In addition, it's just nice for people to know who the key players are, because they do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And to give gratitude and thanks for them.
Yeah.
Good
idea.
I think that, that getting Ron Bois up here for that cultural sensitivity training is a good idea. Now I'm pretty sure he'll do a good job. And I think the other thing too is to put out a survey and see what people want to know, so that way they can give it to him ahead of time, so he'll be able to better prepare for his presentation. Thank you.
Yep. Good. Good job, girls.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Melissa Wright with a sole source request for the bid for 2 bathroom repairs at the upstairs Human Services building.
Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. So we're trying to get some of the bathrooms fixed. There's one bathroom that hasn't been in working order since I've been working here, which is 7 years. So just hoping to kind of get things updated and in working order for staff and for clients to be able to use. We did try to get 3 bids, and per Andy, one didn't respond. And so the recommendation is to go with MB Customs Development. They were the lowest bid.
Do you know, Melissa, when they'd be able to start?
No.
Okay,
We were just kind of going through this to get the approval first, hopefully sooner rather than later.
okay. And then the programs are covering this cost?
Yep, mine and Pam Hughes will.
Okay, good. Andy?
And just a clarification, we actually solicited 3 bids. We received 2. MB Customs was the low bid. The third bidder declined to bid. They were just busy.
Okay.
So it really isn't a sole source in that sense.
Andy, on the bids, I didn't see 2% taro. Is that included
that
or is
was
it implied?
included.
Okay.
Yes.
That was included?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Melissa?
Well, just that Timberland came in at 15,295, and B came in at 13,600. Am I reading that correct?
Yes.
What's that, Jane? I'm sorry.
The bids, I see MB came in at 13,600.
Correct,
And then this Timberland came in at 15,295.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the bid for the 2 bathroom repairs for the upstairs Human Services Building in the amount of $13,600 to MB Customs? Moved by Travis, second by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Good job,
Thank
Melissa.
you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Barbara O'Gean, resolutions for 4 leases, 4 separate leases.
Good morning, Barb.
Good morning. The first item I have is a residential lease modification for Raymond and Victoria Tudoloff. The modification includes adding their daughter, Tony, to their lease, and also including the life estate clause.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the lease modification to Raymond and Victoria Tudoloff's lease? Moved by Dave. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
The second lease I have is for David Farmer. It is also a residential lease modification. He is requesting to an additional lot. He is currently on Lot 1, Block 2, and he is requesting an additional lot which is right next to him, and that is Lot 10, Block 1. Within Block 2A. And as if you can look at the map, his current lot was meant as a recreational lot, but it was given to him as a residential lot prior, many years ago. And so he currently built on Lot 1. The person that owns Lot 2 to the west of him acquired land through a lease modification that goes to the north all the way around him. He cannot build to the north or to the west of his lot. He's completely landlocked. And so his only option is to acquire Lot 10 for him to build. This problem or this process, I should say, has been going on for several years. And we finally got all of the information in place to go ahead and put this forth to the council.
Okay. Is there a lot of rock on Lot 10?
There is a lot of rock. He probably would not be able to build a whole lot, and that's why Lot 10, 9, and 8 are really not buildable sites. There is a lot of ledge rock there, and it would require a lot of blasting. I did discuss this with Dave, and he is aware of that, but he also indicated that he does have the financial means to do blasting if necessary, but he is only looking for the Lot 10 to build a garage with an apartment attached to it, because his parents are wanting to move home, and that's where they would be staying.
Okay.
So that he could help look after them. They are both elderly.
Okay.
Is there a resolution in place that says a person can only have so many lots?
No, there is not. We have several band members that have multiple lots. We have some band members have up to 4 lots.
We did just approve another tribal member in Vermilion to acquire the lot next to them to build a garage.
Yeah, because originally, when the BIA set the lots up, and this was many, many years ago, they set the lots up so that they were only for recreational purposes only. And so what we're running into now is we have a lot of band members that want to make the homes or their lots into residentials, and the lot sizes are not big enough for home sites. And so what we're running into right now is that the lots need to be increased in size so that the band members can build homes and garages and possible utility shed. And so
if you're looking at the build these, make these lots bigger, as an example, let's say lot 7 and 6, where you're thinking of just combining that into one lot?
No, these lots on the lots you're looking at right now have been increased in size. These lots have been developed as bigger lots. These weren't developed by the BIA. These were actually developed by Bois Forte. Mm-hmm. This was a new section. If you look at the entire map, this is a brand new section of like Cedar Grove. Okay. This is actually like a Cedar Grove 2, phase 2. So when you're looking at this, if you look at block, well, it doesn't really say here, but if you look towards the west of where Dave Farmer's is highlighted, mm-hmm. to the west of that where you see the bigger lots, those are actually the Cedar Grove lots. And so when we did the platting of this area, we already determined, and this was back in 2004, 5, and 6, we had determined then that we were going to make our lot sizes bigger. And so these lot sizes are roughly anywhere from 0.75 upwards to more than an acre. Yeah. In size, just so that people could have bigger lots.
So then it looks like even because now, even though they were increased in size, seems like they're too small because we're asking to increase it again. So I think we need to increase it then again, right?
No, they're already big. Lots 1 through 10 are most of them are almost an acre in size, if not an acre in size. And so, but if you're looking at block 2,
Those are the
lots
small
1 through 18 are all small lots. And so a lot of those people on that area have acquired more than one lot so that they could have more area.
The new lots are about 120, 25 by whatever deep, probably a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah,
The older lots are at 75 feet?
75 by 75.
Yeah.
A lot of the new lots go anywhere from like 165 by like 112 to 125. I mean, they're significantly larger. When we were mapping this area out, and I wasn't the realty manager at the time, I was the executive director, and so what we were trying to do is make these lots around an acre at the time, so that people would not only have enough room to build their houses, but they would have enough room for trees and all kinds of different areas.
A nice yard and...
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Andy?
Yeah, just to further clarify on Shane's original question, I think what you might have been thinking about is that there is a resolution that limits the number of leases that an individual can have. You can only have one residential lease or one recreational lease, or you could have one of each. But as Barb mentioned, there are a number of leases that contain multiple lots, particularly at Vermilion, where those lots, the original lots, were very small.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Any other questions with regards to the modification to David Farmer lease? Not a call for a motion to approve.
Move.
Moved by Chief, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you. The next item I have is a right-of-way application for Minnesota Power. This is in regards to the transmission relocation line. It is part of the project that is going on up by the Bois store. And as you remember, there are 3 companies that we have relocating the transmission line. We have Great River Energy, who is the lead. We have Minnesota Power, and we also have Lake Country Power. This one is for Minnesota Power, and this application, the right-of-way application, does not have to go through the entire application because it is going across only fee land. Okay. And so it only has to go before the tribal council, and then I send it on to the BIA. So it has gone through our legal counsel, and he has approved everything. Their easement compensation is $14,400, and everything is looks to be in place.
Barb, I know we have 2 right-of-way applications, one from Minnesota Power and one from Lake Country Power. I know that the realty departments meet quarterly, correct? For the for the reservations,
right?
Usually before the MCT meetings and the TEC meeting,
right?
With regards to easements, that I would like to know if you could do like a report for the for Bois Forte with regards to how tribes are handling any future easements as a possible revenue source. I know that these were somewhat discussed with Lake Country Power and Minnesota Power, and they want to get started on this project right away. These power companies will enhance the power to Fortune Bay Resort Casino, and there are great benefits to this. So, but for the future, if you could research that and bring that report to the tribe, to the RTC, and let us know what other tribes are doing with regards to easements as a possible revenue source.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
Is this a one-time payment, or is this ongoing?
No, this is a one-time payment, and the easements, the right-of-way easements that Bois Forte has traditionally done are 50-year easements. Now, that is one thing that I think going forward, we need to take a look at. 50 years is a long time.
Yes, it is.
But that is what has been happening in the past. This is my first right-of-way applications that I'm putting forth, and so that is one of the red flags that I see in my position, and so that will be one of the questions that I ask at our tribal realty meeting. That we have one coming up in Grand Portage this month. So,
Okay. Kim?
I'd like to suggest that when we get easement money, that money go back into the realty program, because we get so little money from the Bureau for Realty.
I think that's a really good idea. Kim?
But it's something to think about.
Yes.
I thought that was a given.
Uh-uh.
No, just kidding, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, any question on the right-of-way application for Minnesota Power?
I think that, you know, if we're going to do this easement for them, they can't shut us off.
We have a resolution approving that. So do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Seconded by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
I just have a question. Does, what Kim recommended about the revenue from easements, does that need to be a motion by the council that it go to the realty program?
Mm-hmm. And we'll do that motion after the resolutions?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Next, we have the right-of-way application for Lake Country Power. Do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Chief. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Do we have a oh, I'm sorry.
Just a note on the Lake Country Power resolution, there is zero compensation on this one.
Yes.
So,
There is no compensation on this one?
no.
No? Okay.
We did Minnesota Power, then Lake Country Power. Oh, okay. Do we
Can
have
I,
a go
can
ahead.
I get who made the motion and who seconded that one?
Chief and Dave. Do we have a motion? Go ahead. Lake Country, yeah. Yeah. Do we have a motion? We're having a little difficulty here. I'm going like this.
And I have one more thing. Previously, you had made a motion on the Great River Energy one. That one is currently at the Bureau. I had requested an appraisal be done by the Bureau because there was Great River Energy had given us an appraisal amount, but I asked the council, and the council wanted the Bureau to also do an appraisal, and so that is an appraisal process right now. But I would also like to request that the compensation from that right away also go to the realty budget, and that one I believe was like a $45,000 or $50,000.
Okay.
And so I'd like to have that also included within the next motion that's coming up.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve that any revenue made through the right-of-way process be delegated strictly to the leasing department of the reservation, Bois Forte Reservation, to include Great River Energy? Moved by Chief.
Second.
Second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. I know. I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barb. Good job. I just went a little fast, Shane. You're okay.
Okay, next we have Joel Assiford with a sole source request for sand and salt with the St. Louis County, and also a resolution on a right-of-way for the Human Services parking lot.
Good morning, Joel.
Morning. Requesting a sole source for salt sand purchase 2018-2019 through St. Louis County, which is the only place that allowed us to buy salt from them, because we had a salt shortage which started in 2017, 2018, so a lot of the small communities contracts were canceled that we had in place. And I'm meeting with MnDOT Tuesday morning to maybe get a contract with them for next year. So this would be for this year for St. Louis County. We've purchased, I believe, 100 tons so far, and we're probably going to be purchasing more. Snow keeps up, so.
Don't say that. We don't want any more snow. Any questions? Because I know there was a issue with buying salt because of that shortage, and who would ever think there'd be a shortage of salt, road salt, but it happened, and the county was willing to let us purchase salt from them, so. Do we have any questions on this? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the sole source request for sand salt with St. Louis County.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Seconded by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
The next thing I have is a resolution for to grant ourselves a right-of-way on our own land, which is something you have to do through BIA to start construction. This would be for the Human Services parking lot.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the resolution for the construction of a right-of-way on our own land for our own parking lot at the Human Services parking lot? Moved by Chief. Is there a second by Trav? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Joel. Don't say the S word anymore.
Okay, next we have George Strong with 2 sole source requests, one with an agreement for Native Voice 1, and the next with Ampers.
Good morning, George.
Good morning. We got a sole source for Native Voice 1 and for Ampers. These are previous agreements that we've had in place in previous years.
The sole source request agreement for Native Voice 1 is in the amount of $3,150 annually, correct?
Yeah.
And that's in your budget?
Yep.
Okay. And we've used them before?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the sole source request for agreement for Native Voice 1.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Seconded by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Next, we have the sole source request for Ampers Association Minnesota Public and Educational Radio Stations. And this one is in the amount for membership dues for $6,500.
Correct.
And that's in the budget?
Yep.
So do we have a motion to approve that sole source request?
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Seconded by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good job, George.
Okay, next we have Pam Hughes with guests Jennifer Garbo, Susan Bolio, Brianna Michaels, Mary Jo Catras, Laura Palombi, and Diane Runavara with a resolution for SAMHSA grant project with the University of Minnesota Extension.
Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. Morning. Bonjour. Well,
Bonjour.
Mikuch for taking the time to meet with us. My name is Jennifer Garbo, and I'm an extension educator in the Center for Family Development at the University of Minnesota. And I'm here with our opioid team that's working on the opioid crisis in our state. And I'm going to introduce our team, and I'm just going to have them stand up real quickly so you can see. So we have Susan Bolio, who is a member of the Red Lake Nation. We have Brianna Michaels, who is a member of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. We have Dr. Mary Jo Catras, who is our area program leader for family resiliency. We have Dr. Laura Palumbi, Laura, assistant professor at University of Minnesota Duluth College of Pharmacy. And we have Dr. Diane Runavara, who is our community collaboration coordinator. And of course, Pam.
Welcome, ladies.
Here is my partner. Thank you. So I thought I brought the team to support the resolution, but if there are any questions that you have, maybe they can just take turns up at the microphone. And we also have a student named Lucas Kazobuski, is that right? Kazobuski? And he is a student in the College of Pharmacy at University of Minnesota Duluth, and he's a Bois Forte band member as well as I'm a Bois Forte band member.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you have the resolution in front of you, and this resolution is to support our SAMHSA grant, which is our Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration grant project. So basically, this project is to address the opioid crisis in rural counties in Minnesota and 2 tribal communities. So we've been working with and in conversation with Mille Lacs, as well as here at Bois Forte with Pam and her staff. We have kind of a 3-pronged approach with the SAMHSA grant. One is to create education and technical assistance to provide to the community. The third is to develop an online toolkit with resources for community members, as well as families, service providers, and people who are either in recovery or seek to be in recovery. And the third is to create community collaboratives, so to create buy-in from the community. And all this is done in conjunction with the community. And so I don't know if you want to add anything, Pam, about what we've been.
Is this a multi-year grant or?
It is. It started in September of last year, and it'll run through September 2020. And we've already received word from USDA that there's opportunity probably for additional funding because this is such a huge crisis.
Yes.
So.
Maybe you could just kind of explain some of the activities.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yep, that would be helpful.
Yep. So we talked about doing community events as well as classes and workshops within the community, and those are, we're working in conjunction with Pam and her staff to develop those. So we're developing educational tools and resources. We also hope to create additional partnerships with other divisions within the band. You know, we started with Pam. Pam and Dr. Palumbi have quite a long history of working together. Laura provides, what is it? Naloxone and Narcan training.
Narcan?
She's been here. Laura helped us with the opiate community meeting that we had over at Fortune Bay. And so she had brought in people from the RAIN program. And so they were there to distribute the Narcan, and I think that night was one of the most kits that they had ever handed out.
Wow.
You know, so, and it's important because actually everybody should always have Narcan on them, you know, because it could happen everywhere. I know, like at our office, we have it available, that if somebody would OD, we have that available to use. So, but I know my staff is very excited about this and the different training opportunities and stuff that we can do with small groups and to get the community engaged.
Yep. And Pam, I think that's really important, and also Jennifer, that you've got the online toolkit, you're using technology, you're trying to engage the community, because we know that we really haven't really touched the base with the opioid issue here at Bois Forte. we're taking steps to make improvements, like through the tribal code, we're getting that updated. We brought in our own drug dog now. From a law enforcement and judicial standpoint, we've done it, but from a human services treatment issue, we really haven't addressed that. We realize our staffing is limited, and our resources, but we also need to get the community engaged. I really think that's important because it needs to start with community. And this is huge for us to have this opportunity to have this whole team of professionals together to help us with those steps, because it starts with the community. So I'm very excited for this, and I think the council as a whole, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a step in the right direction, one that we want to focus on more so with the opioid and drug crisis and even alcohol crisis that we have here on the reservation, because we really haven't addressed it and we really need to. So these are big steps for us, and I really appreciate it. I want to say miigwech to all of you ladies and our programs. So.
Any plans to do something with our radio station, do like an interview, PSA, something?
Yes, that would definitely be an option, and that's a great idea. I hope someone on our team is taking notes. When we approached this grant, we knew that we didn't have all of the answers, and so we are really an authentic partnership and communication, and one activity is informing the next. And so as we get out and we're sharing, there's been a number of newspaper articles, and Susan and Brianna and I are on what we call the American Indian Resource and Resiliency Team within the grant, and we did a couple of weeks ago an interview with Minnesota Native News, which will be out. And so as different organizations and even as we're the work is becoming a little bit more known within Mille Lacs and here at Bois Forte, there'll be opportunity for us to do all those kinds of suggestions and things. So I think that would be a great way that we could promote the online toolkit, as well as the different workshops and community events and forums that we're planning to have.
Great.
Yeah, that would be great.
George?
Oh, I just wanted, with the radio station, and I wanted to extend our participation, with whatever we're partnering in messaging or creating awareness, that type of thing. So, and I appreciate Shane looking out for us, and it's always good to have that support. And even from the funding sources, we recognize that there's opportunities for creating awareness, and it's something that's very important to our community.
Right.
And we want to be part of that.
Thank you. Yes.
I think the other thing too is that, we also have the State of the Band coming up, and maybe we could get in contact with Louise and maybe set up a booth there, at the State of the Band. It's an option.
State of the Band. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yep. Good.
Any other questions or comments for Jennifer or Pam?
I just have a question.
Yes.
I just assume that there are opportunities for this grant to be working with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Nett Lake and Vermilion?
Yes, there's opportunity for us to be working with all the different divisions. We started with Pam because we have a really good working relationship with her and her team and the work that she does. But like I said, as we become more recognized for the work and people understand what we're trying to do, that we could definitely create additional partnerships. I mean, we're kind of taking the approach that it's all hands on deck, that this is really such a serious crisis that anyone, even if it may not seem like an exact fit, to have conversation with us, and we will figure out a way to incorporate additional partnerships.
Great. That sounds great. Any other questions or comments? Not, I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution to support the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Grant Project with the University of Minnesota Extension. Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Wonderful project. Great. Thank you, guys.
Miigwech.
Miigwech. Thank you, ladies. Miigwech.
Next, we have Miranda Lilia, with a personnel policy revision and also a request for mandatory attendance at an upcoming supervisory training.
Good morning, Miranda.
So the first item I have for you is the personnel policy revision to section 503 overtime. And the changes are highlighted in the document that I submitted to you. So in section 503.2 under authorization required, we would change in that second line, we would take out benefits and change that to pay. And that's a recommendation from Mark Anderson.
Okay.
And then in 503.3 eligibility, again, we would take out benefits, change that to pay, change are to is, because that's just grammatically correct. And then under the bolded language, we would take out emergency and just leave it as snow removal instead of emergency snow removal. And then we would add the language that's highlighted in yellow, outside of their normal scheduled working hours.
Okay. This is what we met about with the maintenance staff and the...
Yes.
And this, okay. Thank you, Miranda. Any questions on this overtime policy?
I think that, just to clarify that, when an employee actually works a full 40 hours, then they work extra hours, then that's when they get their overtime. It doesn't mean that if they have like a holiday pay on a Monday, then they work that 32 hours, then they work that Saturday, that's not overtime, right?
Yes, it would be for the people performing the snow removal.
So if there was a holiday on Monday and they got that off, because I remember we went over this upstairs, and it was a question that, okay, if they got a holiday on Monday and they worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then they were called out again on Saturday, is that overtime?
If they didn't use leave during that week, it wouldn't be. If they used 8 hours of leave, it wouldn't, depending on how much they plowed.
Because when we left that meeting, I was under the impression that you have to work a straight 40 hours, and then any hours extra is actually overtime. That's the impression that I was under.
For regular employees, yes.
Okay.
But for not for those performing snow removal outside of their normal working hours. So a normal non-exempt employee does not receive overtime pay until they get over 40 hours of actual work. Okay? Anytime, so if they work 48 hours because they had the holiday, and then they worked 40 hours, they get paid for 48 hours at their straight time.
Okay.
That extra 8 hours is not overtime because of that holiday.
Okay.
For snow removal people, that holiday doesn't count. So if they work 48 hours, they have 8 hours of holiday, but they have 8 hours of snow removal, that 8 hours is going to be at overtime, even though they didn't work over 40 actual hours.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I just want to clarify that. It's just...
So for normal employees, they have to work over 40 hours to get an overtime pay. For those doing snow removal, they don't have to be over 40 hours of actual work to get overtime pay.
All right, I think we're all on the same page. Or at least I'm on the same page.
Okay,
anyway,
all right.
I think for the benefit of the audience and stuff, this is an issue we've gone over and over and over for the last, since it was brought up. I'm glad everybody's on the same page.
Okay, do we have any more questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the personnel policy revision, section 503 overtime with those recommendations. Moved by Chief, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
The next request I have is that it be mandatory that supervisors and managers attend the supervisory training coming up on April 29th and 30th.
I think it's really important that supervisors and managers attend this training, and I'm in favor of it being mandatory for them to attend. That just makes them better supervisors and managers. Any question? Oh, wait, no. Oh, wait, yeah, you gotta come up.
I think we should make it mandatory that before you speak, you have to speak into this microphone.
Yeah. Oh, there's two of them.
Uh-oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Wanted to know, what if they cannot, as an example, pharmacist, if we only have one person that can come and fill in, and so we don't want to close the pharmacies. Is it going to be recorded that they could look at it later? I mean, I can't do 2 days, close the pharmacy for 2 days.
Can it be recorded, Miranda?
I believe so. Randy? Yes.
Okay, we can record it for them for later.
Okay, because they're going to make every effort to try and get somebody to fill in, but if we can't,
yep,
you know, okay.
I would request.
Thank you.
I would recommend that in those cases where there's someone who cannot attend, but they view it, the recorded session, that they send something in writing by their supervisor or division director to Miranda stating that they did
ahead of time.
Ahead of time, but also once they complete it.
Yep.
So that HR knows that they did.
Okay.
Participate.
Okay.
I just have a question. Is this a 2-day training, or is it a 1-day training held on 2 consecutive days?
It's 2 days.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll call for a motion for the mandatory, making it mandatory for the supervisors and managers to either attend or participate in the recorded supervisory training 101 things supervisors and managers need to know about tribal employment. Yeah.
I move.
Moved by Chief. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank
you,
you,
Miranda.
Next, we have Michelle Long and Sue Larson with a sole source request for dental equipment.
God. Oops. Good morning, ladies. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't want to talk, but we are requesting sole source for the purchase of 2 new dental chairs for the clinic in Nett Lake, as well as 5 LED lights for the conversion from the old lights to the new lights. The reason we are requesting sole source is there aren't enough vendors for the chairs that we currently use. To get the third bid, we attempted, but the third people don't install the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the direction we went after that.
Okay. Is this for how many chairs?
2 new chairs.
2 new chairs, and then the lights are included in that cost. For the total cost is $30,190, and it's in the dental third-party budget. Correct? Okay.
What are you going to do with the old equipment?
The IHS recommended the chairs be replaced because they have tears, and it's an infection control issue. So I don't know that they would be
reusable.
Usable.
The 2 that we're replacing are all ripped.
Microphone.
And so they're not usable. The 2 chairs that we're replacing they're all ripped, and when IHS came through and did the building inspection, they asked us to just put that chair repair thing on, and that is horrible.
It didn't
because
work.
It didn't work. It's snagging people's clothes and whatever else. So we can't really, donate them to anything, and some of the actual equipment that's with it is not working correctly either, and some don't go up, they don't go down, they don't. So.
Those chairs are rather old.
Yeah, I believe they were at the old clinic,
Sounds like my last car.
Any questions? If not, I'll call. Oh, how long will it take for you guys to get the chairs?
I am not entirely sure. I'd have to talk to Roy from ADEC.
Okay.
Then who's putting that in?
Henry Schein
Okay.
at ADEC.
Okay. No.
Nett Lake.
Nett Lake.
Vermillion should have pretty new chairs.
Yeah, you would think. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the sole source request for dental equipment? Is that from Henry Schein?
Yes.
In the amount of $30,190? Did you move, Dave? Oh, moved by Travis, second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Did you look at the pictures of them chairs? They look
Yeah.
pretty fancy.
Yeah, they're nice.
It's like the Cadillac of chairs there.
Okay, next we have Sidra Starkovich with a sole source request to Central Restaurant Supply for stove and range and under counter.
Hey, good morning, Sidra.
Good morning.
Is this the ongoing issue with the
Oy,
stove at
oy,
the
oy,
E&P?
we finally got it resolved.
Oh,
Yes. So what I'm requesting today is a sole source purchase of the kitchen appliances for the ENP building. This would be a purchase from Central Restaurant Supply in the amount of $13,040.91. This would be for a 60-inch LP gas range with a conventional oven and a convection oven, for a under-counter dishwasher, and that was what was missing on the under-counter. Under-counter dishwasher, and then the supplies for the range, casters and valves and things like that.
This is out of the Indian Community Development Block
Yes,
Grant
this
funding,
is
and this
out
will
of-
close out that project?
Close. We
Okay.
have a little bit of extra money. I think we're gonna buy some chairs and some
Oh,
new
okay.
tables for them, so we've got a little bit of money to spend, but
Okay.
it's gonna be
So
very
it came
close to
under
closing.
budget?
It
Nice.
did. The project came in under budget, so we've got a little bit of extra money to spend on that.
Good.
We did, as you know, that the reason that I'm requesting this as a sole source is I did do a little bit of internet comparison, called a couple of other companies. We certainly didn't want to go with the company that we bought the original range from.
Yes.
That came very badly damaged. And the reason that I, like I said, want this as a sole source is many companies require prepayment.
Oh.
We've done business and we have an account set up with Central Restaurant Supply, and they will accept a purchase order from
Okay.
us. So we can order that today. They've got it in supply. They've got all of these things. They're holding it for us.
Oh, nice.
They're ready to ship it out as soon as they get our purchase
Oh,
order.
nice.
And we can get everything installed and all that. We have resolved the stove issue, the damaged stove issue, and actually that is being picked up today to be sent back to Canada.
Okay.
We're getting rid of it. We
Good.
did get our money back on that.
Good,
Mhm.
good. That was a
That was a
headache.
mess, yep.
Okay. Any questions?
Who's putting the stove in?
MB Customs will be completing that.
Okay.
Yep, they're the original contractor on that, and so they're still under contract until the project is complete.
Won't be any additional cost for that then? right?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's still
Okay.
covered under the initial contract.
Well, I think it'll be finally nice to have the kitchen all the way it should be without
Yes.
these missing parts here.
Yep, and they're also gonna, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because we were able to, instead of get them just a regular range with a regular stove, we were able to get them a convection oven, which
Yep.
really helps them in cooking fast and
Yep.
that kind of stuff, so.
Good. Do we have any more questions?
Do we, is there any guidelines or policies in place that the ones that are preparing, or the cooks over there, do they gotta clean the ovens every so often, or?
They're supposed to. There is a maintenance plan that's in place, and they are supposed to, I would have to double check and see what the maintenance plan does say, but there is an approved maintenance plan that was submitted with the grant, and I could certainly get a copy of that over to them. Because
Okay,
there are some guidelines as to what's supposed to be done, you know, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and both Robbie's crew, the maintenance crew, and the kitchen crew would have to take a look at those things.
Okay, yeah, because I know when they were cooking over here in our building here, that the maintenance guys had to clean up after they moved back over to EMP, and they said those ovens are in terrible shape. They weren't. Just a lot of gook and stuff inside those ovens. And
Okay.
Really
I can
bad,
be
so.
sure to get a copy of that maintenance plan over to them and chat with them about it. Make sure that our
And
things
then
are
do you have
maintained
a water
well.
softener over there at EMP? For the
Is there a
new
water softener?
dishwasher?
I think there is a water softener at the ENP. I
Okay,
think
I'm
there
just
is.
asking.
We didn't replace it. It wasn't on the inventory to be replaced, but I think there is one.
Okay, I was just wondering what,
Because of
it's
the
going to be a new washer, a new dishwasher. so
Right, yep.
Just asking.
Okay.
Okay. Can you make sure those maintenance plans are kind of posted and where people can see them or have access to them?
Yep.
Right in the kitchen?
I'll laminate them and,
I was going to say laminate,
yep.
but okay. All right.
Lamatize, yep.
Thank
Can do
you.
that. You bet.
Any other questions? If not, a call for a sole source approval for the sole source request to Central Restaurant Supply for the stove, range, and under counter dishwasher in the amount of $13,040.91. Moved by Travis. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Miigwech.
Thank you, Sidra. Yay.
Next, we have Andy Datko with the award of the bid for courthouse furniture,
Good morning, Andy.
Good morning.
and also the tribal transportation safety plan.
Which was the first item on there?
The bid. The bid for the furniture?
Okay. Okay, I apologize. I didn't bring that one with me. But we got two bids on the new furniture is required for the courthouse. And the way that this kind of, thank you, Wicco, the way this kind of commercial furniture works is that each vendor in an area basically has a dedicated territory, and they each carry specific lines. So the typical furniture lines that we have used and that other people would use would be Herman Miller products or Steelcase. So for example, in this building, we have Herman Miller products. Over at Vermilion, at the center over there, we have Steelcase. So we solicited bids from Northern Business Products. They carry the Herman Miller lines. And we also solicited a bid from Berger Office Supply, and they carry the Steelcase. And we made sure that the lines that they were bidding on were comparable. And you can pretty much tell from, and they also, in both cases, this is GSA pricing. So technically, we really could have just gotten one bid and just worked with one of them because those prices are negotiated every year with the federal government to make sure that they're competitive. But I just thought it was wise to get at least a second bid, so we had both lines covered and could just have a double check to make sure the prices were competitive. And you can see that they are. The bid from Northern Business Products is $52,009.55, and from Berger Office was $52,519. So they're only $500 apart. So the recommendation is to go with the Northern Business Products. They were low. Herman Miller is an excellent product. And this is for the courtroom furniture. It's also for new furniture in the judges' offices, the other offices. There's also a chips court. Yep. There's a number of different offices there. We are reusing some of the furniture that was out at the courthouse, particularly in some of the office desks. But we reused as much of it as we could. But we need to get this new furniture in the rest of it. This is covered in the project budget. So that's where we are. That's the recommendation, Northern Business Products for $52,009.55.
Okay. Any questions?
Are they gonna throw in a new gavel?
I forgot that.
Do we have a motion to approve the award of bid for the courthouse furniture to Northern Business Products in the amount of $52,009.55, which is covered under the project?
Yes.
Moved by Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item I have is approval of the Tribal Transportation Safety Plan. And just by way of background, last year we received a grant from the USDOT to have this plan prepared. And as part of that process, then we put together a task force with representatives from Public Works, from the police department, fire department, ambulance was represented, and then also St. Louis County, Coochin County, and MnDOT were also involved in that. And the plan itself is somewhat broad in its scope, in that it doesn't identify every specific safety hazard issue on the reservation, but it identifies key categories and key areas that need to be focused on. And I'm just going to read those to you, the emphasis areas. They're found on page 17 of the plan, but the emphasis areas are to improve crash data management, to evaluate routes with high crash areas within the reservation boundaries to improve safety, transportation system improvements for safety, bringing the system to modern design standards, pedestrian safety, impaired driving, driver behavior, distractions and awareness, seat belts and child restraint, and public education. And the importance of this plan is that we have to have it in place in order to be eligible to apply for federal transportation safety money. And in fact, there is an open grant solicitation right now that we're looking at to apply for some of this money. So we need the plan in place before we can do that. There are some attachments to the plan that have more specific data, and particularly there's a copy of a study that was done by the University of Minnesota a year or so ago. It was a pedestrian traffic count study, if you will, and looking at some pedestrian safety issues on the reservation, particularly at Vermilion. And some of the specific areas that were identified over there are where there are crossings on County Road 104 for the pedestrian trails, and some intersections that are not properly lit, and then the marking of those pedestrian crossings. So when we look at this grant that we want to apply for, those are the first areas that we want to address, to do some striping, if you will, of the pedestrian crossings, some better lighting, and possibly even some electronic detection systems which will detect when pedestrians are in those crossing areas. It'll flash lights so that any vehicles that are coming will, be reminded they need to slow down.
I know that, and this is really good. IHS years ago, and they still have it, but it's smaller funding, used to have what they called injury prevention dollars. There's no such thing as an accident. Everything is prevented. And I used to sit on that injury prevention. There used to be a community injury prevention committee that entailed all the different programs, but also community members. And like the rumble strips at 7 Mile Corner, one of the issues that committee dealt with, so people would know that you had to stop there because you're coming over the hill. The speeding in the village was an issue. Law enforcement kept reinforcing that, so that was that. Car seat safety, everything. It's educational, but it's also a way to improve the safety of our tribal members and anybody that's coming into the reservation. So I think this is a really good plan, and I think there's a lot more that we can do, and it's really good.
Okay. And there is a resolution there, and I'll just read the
Go ahead,
the
Andy.
last portion of it. Whereas the Reservation Tribal Council formed a Tribal Transportation Safety Planning Task Force, and that task force has met to develop a Tribal Transportation Safety Plan for the Bois Reservation. And whereas the Reservation Tribal Council understands the necessity to establish a transportation safety plan to address transportation safety issues in a manner that would be beneficial to the health, welfare, and safety of Bois Forte band members. Therefore be it resolved, the Bois Forte Reservation Tribal Council hereby approves the Bois Forte Tribal Transportation Safety Plan and authorizes its executive director or other staff designated by the executive director to submit said plan to the U.S. Department of Transportation and any other federal or state agencies with jurisdiction or interests over transportation safety planning and funding.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution for the Tribal Transportation Safety Plan? We don't have that resolution, so.
Wasn't in there?
That's okay, you read it.
Okay.
We don't
I
have
think I brought it up late yesterday, Wicko, and maybe it didn't get put in there.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution as read there by Andy? Moved by Chief. Is there a second? Seconded by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good job, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Andy, before you leave, I didn't look through it that much, but is there something in there for bike safety too? I mean,
yes.
Because I know that here in Nett Lake, I don't know how it is over in Vermilion, but during the summertime, there's a lot of little kids that are riding bikes, and they just cruise through the up by the store there. They don't even stop or look for cars or anything. They just just ride on the road, and a lot of them are young kids, like like 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old, little small kids, and they just don't know how to ride a bicycle safety on the road, and so afraid one of them are going to get run over one of these times. So.
Yeah, and those
I see it a lot. So.
Those are things that can be addressed as we move forward then with the education and through the safety, transportation safety grants that are available. You can use it for a real wide variety of purposes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Barb?
Oh, just a couple things. Housing does have some dollars within their NAHASTA grant for community safety projects, and so they might be able to do some of the education part of it. But the other thing is, when we are up in Grand Portage for the TEC meetings, I know Levi is probably going to be up there, and so we probably could sit down and talk to him about this and have him, push this through MnDOT. So.
Good ideas, Barb. Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks.
I just have a question. Joel, if we did more lighting, that would come out of your budget, wouldn't it? To keep the lights on, if they had more street lights?
Yeah, at that task force meeting that we had, we discussed if we do go ahead with streetlights, we're going to try and, if we get funding for it, we're going to try and go with solar streetlights. They're a lot more expensive, but at least they wouldn't have a monthly bill for it. So.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Kim Greiner with a request for approval to open expense coverage reserve for tax credit 3.
Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. Per the agreement for tax credit 3, we have to have various bank accounts, and they come at different points in the project. So Andy had emailed me last night that they're to the point where we need to open an account for what's called the expense coverage reserve per the agreement. And to open a bank account, you have to have minutes from a meeting to open a bank account in the name of the band. So
okay, and we have the other accounts that are listed here that
Yeah,
That
we'll
we're
do them
supposed to have.
as they come up.
Okay.
Because you
Oh.
have to have, when you open an account, you have to put money in it, otherwise it closes.
Got it.
So it's,
Okay.
we've done we did the other one, the lease up reserve, right? Yeah, we've done that one.
And this will be with the American Bank?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the opening of the, what is it called, Kim?
Expense coverage.
Expense coverage reserve at American Bank for the Tax Credit 3 project? Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you,
you.
Kim.
Okay, next is a resolution for consultation and input with band members when council is considering proposals to pursue business relationships.
Okay, this next resolution was brought up by actually Shane and the Tribal Council with regards to having consultation and input with band members when the council is considering proposals to pursue business relationships. So I'll read the resolution if you're okay with that. Whereas the Bois Forte Band of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe is a federally recognized Indian tribe organized under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 and operating under the revised constitution and bylaws of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe, and whereas the lawful governing body of the band is the Bois Forte Reservation Tribal Council, and Article 6, Section 1C of the Constitution authorizes the Reservation Tribal Council to engage in any business that will further the economic well-being of the members of the band. And whereas the Bois Forte Reservation Tribal Council has determined that consultation with and input from band members must be a priority when the council is considering proposals to pursue business relationships that have the potential to make a material impact on the band's resources and the lives of members. And whereas the Reservation Tribal Council finds that band member input in the decision-making process must include a public hearing on the business proposal, and now therefore be it resolved that the Bois Forte Reservation Tribal Council will conduct a public hearing for band members as a condition that must be met prior to any final or binding decision on a business proposal, and that the opportunity for band member input must include 1, a notice of the proposal on the band's website, 2, publication in the Bois Forte News, 3, public posting on the reservation, all of which must occur at least 30 days prior to the public hearing, and 4, an opportunity for band members to submit written comments on the business proposal following the public hearing. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective today and shall not be construed as a repeal or modification of any existing band ordinance requiring public comment or hearing.
I think, just to clarify, that in the past, our band has tried to expand its business, and we all know what happened. We don't need to go over it again. But basically, this resolution would be to have band members be part of the process, to give their input, to say, hey, yeah, this is going to work, or no, this isn't going to work. That's all it is, basically.
Yep. And I think it's a really good, it's empowering our people, and I really feel it's a good resolution to have. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution? Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
And the next item is the approval of the transfer for the facility maintenance and transportation programs into Public Works Department.
One thing that the tribal government is in the process of doing through the organization is to look at workforce development for tribal members, and part of that is having a one-stop shop here at Bois Forte where tribal members, band members can come in and access resources to help them either get training or employment or jobs. And so part of that is kind of restructuring or reorganizing the government structure and also offices. And so what's happened is in the past few weeks is that in discussion with Joel and the facility maintenance crew and the transit program, we will be transferring the transit program will be transferred out to Public Works, and the facility maintenance individuals in Nett Lake and Vermilion will be under the supervision of Joel Astelford at Public Works. This is moving them from planning and community development to Public Works. So that's what this motion will be for, and it'll be effective today. So do we have a motion to approve the transfer of the facility maintenance and transit program under the supervision of Joel Astelford or the Public Works Department Director?
Move.
Moved by Chief. Is there a second? Seconded by Trav. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Barb?
I just have a request. Yesterday, it is not even a request. I'm coming up here right now as a band member. I had heard yesterday of one person that retired and one person that is going to retire. And I think as a form of good practice that the tribal council, whether these people want a party or not, I think that it would be beneficial for our organization that the tribal council send a letter or a card or something showing gratitude to these individuals. One in particular is Doris Isham, and she's worked for our reservation as long as I can remember. She was instrumental in the organization of our ambulance department and our training of those people. She went and got her higher education and continued to work for us. And she was on our tribal council and even was our first our first chairwoman.
Yes.
And so the other one is Ronette Novak.
Ronette Novak.
And she's worked for us forever too. And so I think regardless of who they are or how long they've been here or whatever, I think that going forward, and no matter how they leave us, I think that we need for the tribal council and for them to, for you guys to send them a card or send them something as a thank you for their service to our band membership and our band. So
good idea, Barb. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good comment.
I'm glad you brought that up, Barb, but I was, I always want to, when our employees retire, I always like to hope that that we do some kind of recognition, but some of our employees request that they don't have nothing, and I don't kind of really like that.
I don't either.
I wish that they would let us recognize them by having a dinner or a lunch or whatever, and congratulate them for their retirement and wish them good luck, but also recognize what they did for our government. And I know I was looking forward to Doris's retirement, but I was told that she requested not to have anything, and so I didn't pursue nothing. And I know that Ronette is retiring here in a couple of weeks, but you know, I would like to see us maybe even do something anyway, maybe, you know, because those people worked a long time for our government, and they did a lot of good things, and especially Doris, you know, she helped me personally with when Teresa was so sick, and there was stuff that we couldn't understand that they would tell us at the Mayo Clinic, and so we would write everything down, and then we would call her right away, and she would always get us an answer or find the answer. And I know she worked closely with Dr. Helloyd, and they would get us the answers that we couldn't quite understand that they were telling us, you know, during our visits with her doctors down there at the Mayo. And so I know that, and I know that she's helped a lot of people with diabetes around here on the reservation, and she did a lot, and I really, you know, thank her for that. You know, that she took time to, you know, take time to go to school and to become a registered nurse. And but I don't know, I kind of wish that we would just, you know, do something for her. But I know when our employees do retire, we do give them a retirement. They get a I don't know if I should say it, but when our employees retire, we give them a bonus for retiring, and then we get them a card or something that they want personally, and we buy it from whether it might be. I know when Kathy retired a few years ago, and we purchased a riding lawnmower for her. But there's been employees that we've helped in the past with gifts of gratitude from the tribal council and our employment, our government here for them, recognizing for their efforts that they've done for our tribal government here. But again, you know, some employees don't want that recognition. They don't want the limelight, I would say, or be recognized like that, and so we kind of, you know, we honor that request. But it's hard not to do it, because, you know, they've worked so hard for us, and we want to recognize them and let them know how much they are appreciated. So but
and I understand that, and I guess the part that I'm also thinking of is even the people that don't retire for us, the people that have put in many years for us, I think when they leave us, regardless of what the terms are, I think we still need to thank them. They've put in many years for us, like Steve Scraba. I mean, you know, regardless, you know, yeah, he left us, but, you know, we never did thank him for all the years he put in for us.
A more personable approach.
Yeah, I mean, and there's Corey Strong, there's, you know, there's Janelle Gogley, there's a lot of different people that worked for us along, you know, for many consecutive years that we never thanked those people, you know, and as an organization, that's one of our, you know, issues with our, you know, where the employees don't feel like they're valued. And when we continue that type of management or that type of practice, you know, those people then go out and tell people, well, you know, I worked for them for 15, 20 years, and when I left, not one person sent me a card or anything. You know, that's not good PR for us. And so I think that needs to change. And I guess I'm looking to this council to change that.
I think it's a good idea, Barb. And it is a more personable thank you for them. So I agree.
If I can add to that, yeah, I know that my mother had requested not to have a big
going away party,
but and a lot of people in our community do feel that way. They don't want to be publicly recognized that way. But for those for anyone, given the option, you know, would you mind us having a public gathering that everyone can come and say something? And if they don't, then maybe that's something the tribal council and their immediate supervisor, department director, take them out to dinner and personally give them their gift and their check.
That's a good idea, Billy.
So it's not just dropped off at their house or mailed to them.
Good idea. Thank you for that input, ladies.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something we should think about putting into our personal policy even.
Yeah.
And just, we're gonna recognize them no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. We'll look into that and get that taken care of. I think that's a really good idea that we need to do.
I think, you know, just kind of taking that one step further, yes, I do agree with Barb that we should, you know, honor the employees that have been with us for a long time. And it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter what their last name is or what political side they come from. They work for the tribe for a long time. We need to honor them.
Yep.
Regardless.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good, Shane. We will do that. We will get something in place. Thank you.
And there are no other
agenda
items.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Second by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.